cool at all here.
No, I mean, this was the time in the 50s when he was like, just trying so hard to be successful and dragging his art around Madison Avenue, and he was kind of like dressed how everybody dressed in those days. In fact, they used to call him Raggedy Andy because he had the same suit that he wore over and over and over again, and he had holes in his shoes. But anyway, so that was him then. But almost overnight, he totally reinvented himself into this iconic, super cool, the factory days Andy. And he, you know, he had loads of different wigs that he customized himself. So like different wigs for different moods, kind of like Cher.
It's amazing that he could get away with this, because it's so obviously a wig.
I know, but that is what cemented his image into people's mentalities. Do you know what I mean?
It was like a brand.
It was like a brand. He created himself as a brand. In fact, it's been said that Andy Warhol's greatest piece of art is Andy Warhol. When I knew you were coming here, I thought it would be a great idea to dress you up like Andy Warhol. So I've like pulled a couple different looks from his different eras.
Great.
You don't look that thrilled.
No, I am thrilled. I'm thrilled.
You just told me you wanted that.
My mum would be so proud. Yeah, this is going to be the peak of my career, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Waiting for.
All right, let's have a look at you.
Briggs, I'm only really halfway there.
That's brilliant. You look.
Do you think?
Let's put on the wig.
Of course.
Bend your head
Why
down.
wouldn't we?
Okay.
Andy would never be seen without these.
Yay!
What do you think?
I think it's great. You have to come and have a look. Come on. How do you feel? Tell me how you feel.
I love it. I'm not sure that... I mean, what's quite good about it is a bit like a costume, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, in my case...
It's an Andy suit.
It's an Andy suit. And I suddenly understand that he would kind of put this gear on and it allowed him to play a role, right?
Yes.
Gee, Briggs, golly. And he'd often kind of go...
Yes! You've got it. You've so got it.
Turn and face the strange changes. Don't wanna be.
The new, rebranded Andy Warhol was now ready to face the world, and his next artistic venture would bring him all the attention he craved.
Something is happening and it starts.
So after soup cans and Coke bottles, what did Andy do next to really shake up the art world? He put on a show that looked, well, it looked pretty much like this. Andy transformed a really ritzy, upscale New York gallery basically into a supermarket. He filled it with Brillo boxes, cartons of apple juice and packets of cornflakes. It was about as far from traditional painting on a wall as art could get.
For the show, he printed plywood replicas of the original cardboard boxes. Some thought it a brilliantly ironic comment on art and modern consumer culture. Many others thought it was ridiculous and quite possibly a fraud. The strange interviews Andy gave didn't really clarify the situation.
The Canadian government spokesman said that your art could not be described as original sculpture. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Why do you agree?
Well, because it's not original.
You have just then copied a common item.
Yes.
Well, why have you bothered to do that? Why not create something new?
Because it's easier to do.
It was the start of the Andy persona. Not just the wig and the glasses, but his weird, deadpan manner. It was a strange way to make yourself famous, but it actually worked. The more mysterious and enigmatic that Andy was, the more people were drawn to him.
Well, isn't this sort of a joke, then, that you're playing on the public?
No. It gives me something to do.
Andy's flippant manner and infuriating answers unleashed a storm in the art world and beyond. But his supporters believed he was doing something important, questioning the need for art to be original, arguing that it was the idea behind an artwork that mattered, and not necessarily the skill used to make it. Andy's Brillo boxes were brash, irreverent, and mass-produced, just like the modern world he saw around him. To reinforce his rejection of craft and originality in his art, Andy started calling his studio the Factory. He removed himself almost completely from the hands-on creation of his work, increasingly using an industrial process he discovered in the early 1960s called silkscreen printing. To assist him, Andy brought in an expert printer, Gerard Malanga. I'm going to meet up with him.
He brought you on board because you were an expert in silk screening.
Correct, yes.
Why was it such a perfect technique for him? What drew him to it?
When you look at a silk screen print, whether it's on paper or on canvas, what you're actually looking at is a painted photograph.
This was a natural development from the blotted line technique that Andy had used as a commercial artist. But silkscreen printing was an industrial process mainly used for creating wallpaper. It was perfect for making mass-produced art about a mass-produced world.
Okay, that's good.
Gerard's going to show me how to make a silkscreen self-portrait in true Andy style.
He would say, "Oh, that's beautiful."
We said that about everything.
We place our blank silkscreen covered in emulsion over the blown-up photograph and expose it to light.
Oh, it's quite heavy. And then I have to turn on the vacuum.
Yeah, that.
It transfers the image in reverse onto the screen.
Okay. All right, so now we have a stencil, which is a negative of the positive acetate.
Yeah, I see. And then when you put ink through it...
You recreate the positive image. Take the top off the ink.
I've got to be careful not to spill it everywhere.
All right.
Just like this?
Yeah, that's fine. A little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, now get your squeegee. Sweep it real fast. Okay. Keep going.
The technique allows the artist to build up multiple layers of colour, transforming the original photograph into something new, showing us how the artist sees the subject.
And let's see what I've done. Wow.
Wow, look how perfect that is.
Well, it's not bad for first attempt.
It's too perfect.
So, Gerard, number 2, this is still wet. So you think Andy would have liked that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I used to call these the divine accidents.
Oh, and he sort of went with that idea, that it just doesn't matter. I look like a pink mouse with lipstick. I'm not sure I like it very much.
No, but there's less pink. You see, there's more pink in that. This is okay. I like this much better than this one.
The silkscreen process became Andy's trademark. It allowed him to create some of the most recognisable images in the world. Mick Jagger, Jackie Onassis, his cow wallpaper, Chairman Mao, and Marilyn. These are images that are never going to go away.
In August 1962, movie star Marilyn Monroe died of an overdose, and Andy immediately decided to make a series of portraits of her. He used the exciting new silkscreen technique, which he discovered earlier that summer, and the 24 pictures of Marilyn would combine 2 of his favourite themes, death and celebrity. And for me, this one's simply stunning. At first glance, Marilyn looks incredibly beautiful, even precious, like one of the gold-leafed religious icons that Andy saw in church as a boy. But something isn't right.
The silkscreen allowed him to offset the layers of paint, so the edges smudge and blur, creating an eerie, haunting quality. The colourful mask covering the colourless photograph, echoing Marilyn's glittering media-created image that hid the profound sadness beneath.
The colours of her eyelids and lips look like makeup applied by a child. Marilyn's face is distorted, just as the media distorted her image. There's a sadness which chimes with our knowledge of her early death.
In the Marilyns, the photograph is always the same, but the effect changes from tragic to electrifying, from glamour to innocence, reflecting the many masks that Marilyn wore to hide the real her. As well as celebrity, the Marilyns are also about death, which you can see in this other, haunting version. It fades from colour to black and white, almost as if she's washed away.
It's like the transition of Marilyn Monroe from this life to the next.
Death and celebrity are still constantly explored in modern art. Mark Quinn is one of Britain's most successful artists, and like many others, he's inspired by Warhol.
Oh, and this is one of your statues of Kate Moss?
That's right, yeah.
Now, this isn't the one that you made actually from gold, but...
No, this is bronze.
All of your series about Kate Moss, you must have been thinking about Warhol's Marilyns when you were making them.
Absolutely. Who is the kind of female divinity of the moment? And it struck me that perhaps in the 60s it was Warhol, for Warhol it was Marilyn, and now it was Kate.
And is this the same thing that Warhol was driving at with those Marilyns? I mean, what I love about that image is that it crystallises these twin obsessions of Warhol, celebrity on the one hand and death on the other. And it just seems that those are two very, very meaty, weighty, quite resonant themes, which are still very attractive to artists working today.
I agree. Celebrity and death are both two sides of the same coin in a way, because celebrity is about immortality, it's about aspiring to perfection, getting to a Mount Olympus, a better place.
Where only populated by stars.
Yeah, which is like now like OK Magazine, you know. But so it's a kind of parody. It's a parody of these classic and classical obsessions that are part of the human psyche.
But it's not just artists who still feed off Warhol. Today, he's a multi-million-pound business, as fashion brands ranging from Versace to Pepe jeans endlessly recycle his imagery.
Andy once said that department stores were the new museums. He realised that shopping would obsess the coming generation, and he wanted to be right at the heart of this glossy new era. Today, nearly 50 years after his glory days as a pop artist, his work has moved out of the gallery and into our everyday lives. It's so strong, so reproducible, that it appears everywhere.